We were on away.
Yeah.
Expensive. And
There.
Supervisors ready to roll? Is Patty online? Okay. Call this meeting of the Halfmoon Township Board of Supervisors to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Tonight's meeting is being recorded live on CNET, if anybody wants to know. Next up would be citizens' comments. Do you have any citizen comments?
Do you have anybody on Zoom?
Okay, hearing none. Look for approval of the agenda for tonight.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion approved. Thank you. All right, next up, approval of the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes for October 13th, 2022, and October 17th, 2022.
Okay, minutes for both meetings have been moved. Do I hear a second?
Second it.
Roseanne seconds. Any discussion by the board? Comments, questions? Hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. Consent agenda. Improvement of the payment of the bills for the period of 10/08/2022 to 10/21/2022 in the general fund in the amount of $86,861.52. The open space preservation fund, the amount of $1,014.55. Permission to advertise a public hearing to repeal Chapter 31 Officers Employees Managers Ordinance. Permission to advertise for 2023 bituminous aggregate and equipment bid. Acknowledgement of Lauren Nauman's resignation from the Open Space Preservation Board and Planning Commission, and I'd just like to thank him for 19 years of service on the Planning Commission and 8 years of service on the Open Space Preservation Board. So thank you, Lauren. We appreciate it. And also to inform CNET to cease all bulletin board posts for Halfmoon Township.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion approved. Next up is discussion items. 2023 Center Region COG Budget Review. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, board, supervisors. Good to see you all, and hello, Patty, online there. I guess I could start with a bit of brief introduction. My name is Eric Nordenberg, Executive Director, Center Region Council of Governments. With me is Joe Vigilano, Finance Director. Over the past about 6 weeks, the COG Finance Committee went through a fairly extensive review process to go through the detailed budget and prepare the summary budget, which looks like this and was in your packet. I have a couple of extra copies if anybody needs one that doesn't have it in front of them, or didn't get a chance to look at that. But there it is. One of the things I think you'll be pleased to find out is that the COG request for funding from Halfmoon Township will go down next year. And if you have the document in front of you, I would draw your attention to the tables on page 8 and 9 that reflect the overall summary of revenues from the municipalities. The key changes for each of the agencies are, I'll review them pretty quickly, but then we can go into any questions that you have. Emergency management is virtually unchanged. Planning goes down 9,000. CCMPO up about $833. COG admin up about $428. Library operating down $1,800. COG building capital up about $50. Library capital down about $162. And these are all of the costs related to Halfmoon only, not the total budget reductions, but the Halfmoon share of the municipal support for these operations. So that's out about $10,500 in reductions next year for Halfmoon Township. But as I mentioned, the Finance Committee had a very extensive review process, reviewing the budgets of all of the COG agencies. At the beginning of the process, they gave us direction to reduce the budget to basically a status quo budget for this year, and try and aim for an increase of 8% or less, and we were able to do that. We had to cut a lot of the proposals for 2023, and the Finance Committee did do that review, and Patty, I think, was at every one of the meetings representing the township for you, and she may have some thoughts to share on the process as well. But with that introduction, we'd be happy to answer any questions. I'll try and answer the easy ones, and Joe will help me with the hard ones.
Okay, did the cost go down for every municipality in the center region, or is it they about the same, or do we have any spikes anywhere?
It was variable because it was a combination of the formula being updated each year, as well as the budget going down. So if you were to look at, I think College Township had an increase, but Halfmoon was the only one with a decrease. The others had smaller increases. And so it was based on impacts from the formula.
Well, I want to commend Patty and yourselves to doing a great job and keeping costs down for us. I appreciate it. I assume the rest of the board will. Does anybody else have any other questions on that? Ron, you're studying.
Oh, I have no questions. I'm just scanning the document.
Joe, is there anything else we need to add?
Keep them smiling, huh? All right, well, I don't have any questions. You guys done great.
Okay. As you're familiar, Chair Piper, the process at this point is that if there are any comments, questions, feedback, and it doesn't sound like there is any, but that would be submitted to the Finance Committee through our office by the middle of, by the 17th or 18th of November, correct?
8 a.m. on the 18th.
So we still have time to provide comments.
Right, but it would need to be consensus comment from the
Mhm.
consensus for the board. And we'd be happy to try and answer them. If there are any individual questions, please email Joe or me, and we'd be happy to answer those questions as well. But any consensus concerns or recommendations or thoughts, you can send it through to my office, and we'll make sure the Finance Committee gets it.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yep,
thank you.
thanks. Okay, next up, 2023 Halfmoon Township Proposed Budget Review.
Yeah, we did a bulk of our work on the 17th, so at this point, based on what you're seeing now, nothing's really changed. It's another opportunity for comments, questions, or concerns.
I think we hashed a lot of this out at the last meeting.
We did. The
bulk
only
of it.
real change was you guys challenged me to have a tax decrease, but you didn't specify an amount. The change would be that that tax decrease amounted to 1 mil, even. That'll be an average savings of $71 per average on a household. It can range as low as 24 cents and as high as $312 depending upon the value of the property. So that's what we're looking at. We are still running on a balanced budget as well as putting some necessary funding into our capital reserve fund as we have 2 trucks looming in the very near
And that
future.
gives us a six-figure,
It does.
a six-figure capital reserve fund.
Yes,
Okay.
it gives you, if you want the specific, I can tell you, it should leave you with an estimated 143,000 by the end of the year next year, which is a nice start, well on your way, where if you can keep that up for a year or two, you're well on your way.
What's recommended in terms of a balance?
It really depends on the future plan of the board.
Does
You
it go by
always-
percentages?
Not historically for Half Moon. It has not. It's
Okay.
gone with, again, the thought process of a sitting board. I know this board's goal is to no longer continue to be in debt after the payoff.
Right.
You're going to need to pad this because that means you'll be buying equipment and other things outright.
I guess what I should have asked was, does PSATs or anybody have any recommendations on what percent of a budget should be held in reserve?
Not generally. They
Okay.
let that, as long, really, no one gives best practices short of the state saying, please don't deficit spend. That's when they have an issue.
Yeah.
How you do everything else within reason is up to the board.
Okay, thank you. I like the fact that we covered just about every contingency. We addressed the road work, we addressed the equipment requirements, we addressed building maintenance and repair requirements. We planned for replacement of some vehicles in the future. We built up our capital reserve, we built up our park and rec. There's a reserve there as well, right?
Correct.
And we've got, wages figured out and covered, and cost of living and things like that all considered too. So all those contingencies, all those areas have been covered in this budget, and so we are looking at, we still have the potential for a millage cut. I think that's, to me, the process has been pretty impressive.
Thanks to Brett.
Oh, yeah, I mean, he put the numbers together
I
and
just
worked it
put
out.
some numbers in a chart. It's a team effort by far.
Yeah, you really showed your qualities,
But thank you.
I think.
Any other discussion by the board on the proposed budget? Hearing none, move on to action items. Fiscal year 2023 auditing firm multi-year agreement proposal.
Yes, since our last meeting, we have had an update. I was able to obtain 2 different quotes, proposals for auditing services, and one was not even close. It blew the competition out of the water as far as pricing. And that is BBD. It's a firm located out of Philadelphia. And the reason they're able to stay as cheap as they are is they will run everything 100% remote. Which Boyer and Ritter was planning on doing next year anyway, so staff's already prepared. We scan everything into our server, and then they have some sort of portal usually we can upload to, or some sort of situation where that works out. All I need from you tonight as a board is to accept the proposal and acknowledge BBD as your auditors. That will allow Amy to advertise in the future, and you will appoint them at your reorg meeting in 2023.
And what's the firm again?
BBD.
Do you know what that stands for, or is that just a
I do not.
The name of
because
the firm,
That
okay.
is just the name of the firm.
BBD? Okay.
They are a CPA firm, right?
Correct.
So you need a motion to approve
Accept the
proposal.
proposal and acknowledge BBD as your auditors for the next 3 years.
That Just before we go too far on this, or you make the motion.
Go ahead.
I had a contract question.
Hmm?
Is that rate gonna stay the same for the next 3 years, or what's the build-up?
I'm not sure if you have a copy in front of you.
I
The rate
don't.
will range, next year it will be $6,700, and by the third year, it's $7,200.
Okay, well, that's reasonable.
And
for
those are locked in.
Inflation, okay. That's what I wanna make sure. I didn't wanna get a $20,000 automobile.
And the other firm we heard from was 10,000 in that area, so we're already saving 3,000 to 4,000 ahead of time.
Very good.
Then I move that we approve the proposal, or accept the proposal for the auditing firm multi-year agreement for fiscal year, starting fiscal year 2023, and acknowledge BVD as our auditor.
Here, second?
Second it.
Okay, moving second. Any discussion by the board? Questions, comments? Hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay, they're our new auditor for the next 3 years.
I just want to point out one other thing. I know how much work that Brett put into finding auditors, and I think we were sweating it out a little bit earlier in the year, being able to find one.
I was able to expand the search a little bit. They actually answered our last RFP prior. I started there to see if anyone was still interested. Sometimes firms,
Yeah.
once you don't accept a proposal, are no longer interested. 2 of them still were, and it just happened to work out in our favor.
Good.
Very good.
It's a relief.
All right, next up, Resolution 2022-27 for the disposition of records, old records.
Yeah, I guess seeing as how they're my records, I'll take it. When we switched banks, that left us with some checks and some other items from our old banking institutions that now need destroyed.
They're more than what, 5, 7 years old?
They range in different areas. I don't know if Amy actually put the age on there. So there's an appendix that goes with it. I was gonna say if you want to show Dave.
Yeah, I think I saw this earlier. But
You very well could have.
Yep.
That pretty much all this is saying is within reason, out of these things, whatever the records retention manual states,
Yep.
we can destroy.
Clearing out the junk.
It's a catch-all, yes.
All right, very good.
I move that we approve Resolution 2022-27, disposition of records.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Ron moved, Patty seconded. Any discussion by the board? Questions, comments, concerns? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Resolution 2022-27 is hereby approved. Moving on to department reports, Treasury Report.
As of September, the general fund had a balance of 1.5 million and the township had a total fund balance of 2.6 million. Things are still looking up for Half Moon.
Good thing. Tax collectors report.
The status quo that it's been for months, it's about $3,000 in. It'll trickle in a little bit here and there as people pay penalty. That's nothing.
About what percentage of collection to date there's been?
To date, I do not. I know we average 97 to 98 and we're well on that pace.
Okay.
Zoning permits.
We issued 6 permits for September, 3 sheds, 1 deck, 1 driveway, and 1 single-family home.
Good. Thank you.
Yep.
Budget report.
As of the 24th of October, the general fund had a surplus of $444,000. The other thing I want to add is moving forward, I was able to get in touch with the new auditors and talk over how our QuickBooks reports are not matching last year's budget that was approved. I have changed those numbers where they completely match, and we are able to go the last 3 years, or the last 3 months, and we're good to go. So no harm, no foul.
So it's just a matter of, it's the reporting that's changed, not,
Right, the reporting had not matched the budget
Right.
that was approved.
right.
Correct.
I just want
Yep.
to throw that out there. Okay.
It's the balance sheet as well, I guess.
And the balance sheet shows, as of October 21st, 1.4 in the general fund.
Okay. Down to the next level here. Public Works report.
All right, so Public Works has just kind of been busy transitioning right now, kind of getting ready for winter maintenance. Taking advantage of some training as well. I actually sat through some winter maintenance training today, trying to make sure that we are ready. Was able to get out, do a little bit of crack sealing here, as the weather's been staying pretty decent. As well as kind of overseeing a couple projects that have been going on in the township, which will continue here on Monday as well, as we have a road crossing on Smith Road. But yeah, like I said, mostly it's just getting ready for winter maintenance, trying to get trucks ready, and hopefully we'll be right on track.
Cedar Ridge, is that all done now?
It is done for fall.
For the
We're
year.
gonna let it settle out, and that way come spring it can be fixed correctly, and in hopes that nothing settles anymore.
Good.
Is there anything you see that we don't have, we need? You have tire chains, in case we need them.
Not that I have found yet. We're kind of limping by on a small repair budget, but I think we'll be okay.
Okay.
We're getting the things absolutely necessary, and then as we move into January, we can free up a little bit to make sure that we have everything repaired, and as we move into spring at that point. But I think we'll be okay.
Good.
You know, barring any unforeseen things as we move into winter, and make sure our equipment's working, since neither one of us has seen it work yet.
Guess you'll get it firsthand. Hopefully
I'm
it's not a
sure.
bad winter, but
I'm
Hopefully
sure it'll
not.
go well. I'm sure it'll go well.
I'm sure it will. Yeah.
any other questions for Chuck? Okay. Move on to Supervisors Reports. Patty, do you have anything to add for Supervisors Reports? Apparently you've done a fantastic job on the COG budget.
Well, it was a group effort, and there was a lot of good work done, especially by staff and on this, and we sat through a lot of budget meetings and a lot of discussion, but it did work to the benefit, I think, of everyone involved, and so no, I don't have anything to add then, other than that what Joe and Eric said, and that's been my main focus for the last couple weeks on Finance Committee, and Facilities meets next Tuesday, so I don't have anything up to date on that yet at this point.
Okay. Well, thank you again.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Supervisors Reports. Okay, hearing none. Step down to the next thing here. Good and welfare.
I just wanted to point out that along with all this budgeting process we've been going through, this year we also saved money, and we're going to continue to save money. We saved money on the renovation and the move. We saved money in terms of positions, and I think, you know, it's just we found savings in the budget. And the budget that we have represents, in addition to spending surpluses, you know, doing the necessary things that we have to do with regard to the amount of money we have. We're inherent in that is additional, you know, reductions in areas where it can be reduced. So I just want to point that out, that savings are included, not cost avoidance, but actual savings.
And the township will be completely out of debt next year.
Right.
No debt, tax decrease for everybody. I think it couldn't have turned out better.
Yep.
Anybody have anything else? Before we start diversity, equity, and inclusion, you missed, I mentioned that Lauren had 19 years on the Planning Commission and 8 on the Open Space Preservation Board. We appreciate that. That is dedication.
Yeah, and maybe tell him.
Well, I will when I
Yeah,
see him.
that'd be great, thank you,
Yep.
because it would mean a lot to him to get, some acknowledgement.
I hate to see him go, actually. He's
Yeah,
a solid individual, so.
yeah,
That's a lot of experience goes with them. So,
yeah. Well, thank you
All right. You have anything for diversity, equity, and
I
inclusion?
do, and because, congratulations, I'll keep it really short, because your meeting is moving right along tonight. I guess I have to sit up here. So I just want to encourage everybody to attend a workshop that you've been invited to on November 30th. And I thought if I tell you about it, it's about DEI practices, and it's for elected officials and staff only. And it's being sponsored by the Anti-Bias Coalition. At this event, you would interact with other elected officials, learn what other communities are or aren't doing, share with them what we're doing, and learn about integrating DEI into your hiring practices or meetings. I think if our township is thinking about applying for any state or federal grants, having somebody be at that meeting would be good for our grant application. But I just wanted to let you guys know about this. It's going to be at the COG building because that's a space that can be used. And it will be, I believe, at 7 o'clock at night. But that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
And congratulations, this is a record for.
We didn't start early, honestly.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moving seconded. Question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Adjourned.
Well done.